Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Review to a Kill. My name's James and I'm a big James Bond fan.
My name's Tom and I'm becoming a big James Bond fan.
Oh, nice, different, like that. You freestyled.
I'm watching him for the first time.
First time.
Getting through him with 18 through now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
18 and 25.
Plowing his way through them one at a time.
One at a time.
Every episode on the show, we will be looking at a James Bond film from the series. Me, from the point of view of someone who's seen it a million times before, and Tom, a first-time watcher, to compare and contrast our scores and our impressions of said movie. Now, as we say at the beginning of every show, there will be...
Kung Fu! And spoilers! Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen the movie that we're going to talk about tonight, now is the time just to take a break, watch that movie.
Do some Kung Fu,
watch the movie, because we will spoil it for you otherwise.
Yeah.
We're going to give lots of the plot away here. So, before we get to this evening's movie, we must go back and revisit episode 17.
Yeah.
Which was, of course, our GoldenEye episode. And we have collated, as we always do, your correspondence and your feedback into one simple little excerpt of the show, which is known as...
Oh.
What was that?
My glockenspiel's been...
You thrown it down the stairs?
Been overthrown by some sort of Cylon.
Whatever that was. I don't know. Okay.
Sorry, James.
So we'll lead into it again. Right.
What was it? Feedback corner?
This is Feedback Corner.
That's a bit more like it, isn't
That's
it?
more the sort of thing where it's...
Oh, I got a new phone, so it might be... I mean, a new magic box
a new
of
magic
sound.
Sure.
So it might be louder than normal, I don't know.
Yes, yeah, no. A new magic correspondence telegraph.
Yes.
Yes, very nice.
Not just a new phone.
Very nice. Some feedback from the last episode. Here we go.
Yeah.
Sergeant Benton says, I love that you put James's age in brackets. Thank you for that.
Well, it was a milestone,
It
wasn't
was a milestone, yes.
Yeah.
I've had a milestone birthday since our last episode. One of those big ones with a 0 on the end.
Yeah.
Wiltshire writing. I remember when I once wore a lovely metallic eyeshadow. My brothers were singing GoldenEye to me for about a month.
Right.
Now, what's that in relation
That's
to?
my sister.
Right.
I don't remember doing that.
Did we talk about...
No.
Did we talk about eyeshadow?
No. She said she was wearing eyeshadow when it... Back after this movie was out.
Whatever. Yeah.
And her brothers...
I.e. you.
were taking the mick and singing the tune, which I don't remember doing, but
I can't see it because you're such a gentleman.
No,
aren't
I'd say it's
you?
obviously the correct thing to do. If your older sister's got gold eyeshadow on, what? As a younger brother, I'm not going to take the piss.
It's impossible that you're not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Triforce of Kaz says GoldenEye was the first Bond film I was old enough to be aware of when it came out, although by then I was aware of the existence of James Bond and the previous movies. I remember seeing a trailer for it at the movies in 1995, and I remember they spoiled, yes, I remember this, that 006 was the villain.
Yeah, they're good like that.
Yeah, they did do that in the
Trailers are
trailer.
great for
Yeah, I didn't go to see it at
showing
the
the
time,
entire
but I
movie.
remember watching it when it premiered on TV, and it was my first taste that got me into Bond movies. I still love it, and it's easily one of my favourites, bouncing around in my top 5 Bond movies. I would agree with that. I would say it was in my top 5 as well.
Joint 3 on the board, wasn't it?
Joint 3rd, I believe, on the official BondBoard of Justice. Our friends in America, Revenge of the Drive-In.
Hey.
Hello.
We love, what do we love? Cheeseburgers.
Hot dogs.
Firearms.
Yeah, small side weapons. Going yeehaw at everything. And and tariffs. Thanks for the tariffs.
It's very topical, that.
That may not age well. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, Revenge of the Drive-In, just say to us, quite simply, in Partridge style, back of the net, which we take as an enormous compliment.
Yes.
So thank you very much. And can we say to you, Jurassic Park? And finally, we have some correspondence from the official nice person,
OMP.
Hello, OMP, who says, and this is an excellent observation, genres within franchises. The over-the-top fantastical ones, the darker thrillers, the ones filled with comedy. I appreciate and enjoy them all, which I think is pretty much the comment we're making in this whole series, isn't it? Unusually, because there's no action, my favourite scene, says Queenie Colombo, is with M and Bond. That's the I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur scene in Goldeneye in M's office. M's speech was brilliantly delivered, and to quote another Bond fan from the YouTube clip of that scene, the rebirth of the Bond franchise for a new generation. Yeah. So
thanks,
excellent.
OMP.
Thank you, OMP. And normally I would say that's it. Is feedback corner. But
feedback corner. Oh shit.
Bonus. Yeah, you've just hit the wrong button there. Never mind. Bonus feedback corner action
extra.
And physical feedback corner.
Bloody hell.
Look, kids, a letter.
You can write to us.
People used to send these.
James, tell us your address.
Wood Lane, PO Box. So this is a birthday card. As I mentioned, it was a milestone birthday for me.
Yeah.
This is a birthday card which I got from our most mature viewer, Mrs. Wallace. Hello, Betty. Hello. And it's a lovely card. It has a picture of a Dachshund on, and I have a Dachshund, so that's what that's about. But she said the note inside is to both of us.
Yeah.
And it's very pertinent to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so just bear with me here as we zip through this. Hi, James and Tom. A chance to say thank you for the Get Well card you sent me. It was so thoughtful. We're very pleased you're feeling better, Betty. Hope you're both okay. I'm doing okay. I have a wonderful daughter. Yes, you certainly do. And grandchildren. They make sure I'm okay. That's lovely. Now, here comes the interesting bit. Here comes the interesting bit. I'm setting the scene. Right. Here comes the interesting bit. Betty says, I don't know how many times I have watched David Niven's Casino Royale.
Oh.
To me, he was the perfect English gentleman. He was also in the RAF.
Yeah.
I do like a man in uniform. We're seeing a whole new side to Betty that we didn't know about. This is...
Yeah, I feel dressed up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We'll do a future episode in uniform.
Yeah.
Just for Betty. It will probably be traffic wardens or something. But anyway, it'll work. Tom, now this is the bit that really,
Got you.
Yeah. Tom, you have a wonderful voice. You could do voiceovers on the radio.
I know.
You getting Betty or hot under the collar, you sex machine, you?
I saw this feedback. And it was duly noted.
Yes.
I've never had anybody compliment my...
You sound like Nigel Havers being played on 33 when it should be 45,
Yeah. I edit this show, right? And I look at myself and I'm like Joe Pesci talking to Spider in Goodfellas. You mumbling, stuttering, effing, I'm looking at... So to have someone compliment my voice was an absolute... I was beaming from ear to ear.
I can imagine you were. And I sort of was rather...
And you were like, what the hell?
I'm the trained radio presenter. All he has to do is turn up with his Ian Jury voice. And everyone's going, oh, isn't he great? Cheers. Anyway, thank you, Betty. Your card was gratefully received.
Yeah.
We are very touched that you thought of us. And I'm going to put you down here next to Pierce.
There we go.
Not David Niven, sadly. Or Tom.
Or is it the spell casting?
Maybe that's the voice. Maybe that's the voice. The falsetto.
I won't do it all. No,
please. Anyway, thank you, Mrs. Wallace. Thank you, everybody, for your correspondence.
Thank you.
And that was Feedback Corner. Nice. Very nice. Right, shall we get on with this episode? Because that was quite a long Feedback Corner. So let's jump straight in. This is episode 18, and we will be talking about...
Tomorrow never
dies. See? I'm a musician too.
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies, the 18th episode, what would you call it? The 18th installment of the franchise. Which, let us go to Tom's French chart for a little...
this is a good
now, you'll have to excuse me, I've been in Spain, so obviously my head's full of, tapas, Espanol, etc. But, my high-quality French may be slightly affected.
Good
Here we go.
sir.
In French, it is... Oh, no, that's the next one.
Yeah.
It is...
Get the right one.
I nearly rang the wrong one.
I wouldn't know.
Probably makes no difference the way I pronounce it. It is Demain de mieux jamais.
Whoa.
Demain is tomorrow, isn't it? Ne meurt, presumably that's not dying.
Yeah.
Jamais Jamais?
Tomorrow not dying never.
Tomorrow not dying ever, twice. Well,
thanks, James. That was brilliant.
I am basically
It
fluent.
was French for once this time. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, it wasn't
That
just
was very good.
Tomorrow Never Dies,
Yeah.
but in English. So there we are. Well, look, before we go any farther, let's proceed to the highlight of any episode of Review to a Kill. The bit which, you know, Betty's now going to be turning the volume
Here we
up just
go.
so she can
Have
hear
I
your
gotta
voice
do
a little
it
bit more clearly. do it in your normal voice, that will suffice. And, of course, this by public demand is what everybody wants to see. It is Mr. Tom Scriven's brilliant plot summary of Tomorrow
Here we
Never
go.
Dies. Take it away.
All the spoilers happening now,
Yes.
folks. Here we go. A terrorist arms bazaar on the Russian border. It's like a terrorist supermarket. Chinese Long March Scud, Panther AS-565 attack helicopter, a pair of Russian mortars, and the crates look like American rifles. Chilean mines, German explosives, fun for the whole family. I've just...
Sorry, why are you sounding like you're in Kes?
I don't know why I chose that voice, and I'm just reading out the entire screenplay.
It's flying right now, sir.
I just get very excited when there's a list of, military grade
I know how you feel about your
firearms.
guns. You know, I can imagine you were over the moon with
There we go.
a shopping list of
So
weapons.
Basically, right, so Bond's sent in to disrupt the terrorist supermarket.
Yes.
But back at MI6, this bloke, Admiral Roebuck, he puts in an order to fire a massive missile into the place, right? And Bond manages to get in this fighter jet after having a bit of a fight with loads of people. And this fighter jet's got nuclear torpedoes on. He takes out some baddies and avoids getting blown up.
Yeah.
Right? Roll credits.
Roll credits.
HMS Devonshire, South China Sea. Ah. Right, this ship has been sent, the HMS Devonshire, been sent off course into Chinese occupied waters by the baddies, right, using this GPS encoder.
Yeah.
And it gets ambushed and destroyed by this massive drill, and then this bastard Stamper guns down the crew. Yeah, he is.
He is. No, he is.
Yeah,
he is.
guns down the crew under the orders of Chief Bastard, Elliot Carver. Right, and they shoot down this Chinese fighter jet as well, and the MOD want retaliation, but M is on to Carver, right? So she gets Bond to investigate him and his media company, CMGN. He goes to Hamburg to get in with Carver's wife, Paris, who's an ex of Bond's, right?
Obviously. And
he has a fight with some baddies, cuts off Carver's live broadcast. So Carver...
Wonder what you were going to say.
So, what was it?
Cuts off Carver's...
What did he cut off? Oh, yeah, it's broadcast.
Broadcast,
Yes.
yeah.
So
yeah.
Carver's like, well, Eggy, right? And he finds out about Bond and his wife, like the history. So he orders for both of them to be killed, right? And Bond steals the GPS encoder off of the baddies, but then he finds Paris has been killed by this assassin, Dr. Kaufman, who also he's going to kill Bond, but Bond kills him and escapes the baddies with his new remote control car. I
Yes.
put brackets big.
Big. It's a big
not
car. No, not like a little, not a car like that. Size.
Anyway.
A car, yeah.
US Air Base, South China Sea. Bond meets our old pal Jack Wade to talk about the encoder being tampered with and that, and then he goes to investigate this shipwreck, right? From before, and he meets Wei Lin, who he met at one of Carver's posh parties earlier, right?
Yeah.
She's on the case as well, right? They find out. No, hang on. They find one of the crew's missiles is missing, right, in their search. But then they get captured by the baddies and taken to the CMGN tower, right? They escape that, right? And they get the Navy on the case, right?
Yeah.
And then Carver's basically, what?
Carver's
Carver's
what?
basically using, I thought it was a W.
Right.
Wing.
Carver's
Carver's
winging.
basically using the stolen missile as a means to an end to have his network go global. Right, we're nearly there, right? Bond and Wei Lin go to this stealth ship to try to stop the missile getting fired at Beijing. But Wei Lin gets captured. Bond captures Gupta, who's like the henchman IT support. Right. And then, but he's done.
Gupta's IT support.
But then he's done all he needs to do, so Carver shoots him.
Yeah.
Bond detonates a grenade, knackers up the radar visibility thing, knackers up stuff. Wei Lin knackers up the engines, but she's captured again. And then Bond and Carver have a bit of a showdown, ending with Carver being killed by a massive drill, The massive drill
from earlier, yeah.
And then Bond's trying to destroy the warhead, but he has to fight Stamper and save Wei Lin, who's been chained up and chucked in the water. He manages to trap Stamper's foot in the missile firing mechanism and gets Wei Lin out. Everything blows up, killing Stamper, but Wei Lin and Bond escape the explosion under the water, and then they get out and kiss on some debris while the HMS Bedford searches for them.
Well, there we are. Thank you for that in-depth plot summary, Mr. Tom Scriven. Would you like to know a few details about this particular movie?
Go on then, mate.
Go on then. Go on. I'll treat you to a few details. Go on. They're on me. Go on. They're on the house.
Okay, Jimbo.
Okay, then. This is the 18th Bond movie of the franchise. Pierce Brosnan, again, of course, as James Bond in his second role. Yeah. He had just filmed and promoted Dante's Peak, which was the movie he did, the volcano disaster movie he did between... I
don't think I watched that one, but I'm
between the two films. And then had to go straight into filming this without any kind of break. Jonathan Pryce played Elliot Carver, Sir Jonathan Pryce, a renowned stage actor who had been a stage actor for many, many years. Made a breakthrough in movies a few years previously. He'd just done Evita with Madonna before this.
Right.
And is now considered one of Britain's foremost actors.
I remember him in Brazil.
Yes,
I remember that too well. It's quite that's Terry Gilliam.
Yes, I remember Brazil. Yeah. But anyway, he's a renowned, hugely respected figure in British acting. This part was originally offered to Sir Anthony Hopkins, but he turned it down in order to make The Mask of Zorro with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh right.
I'm not sure about that as it is. But anyway, Michelle Yeoh as Wei Lin, who has probably never been bigger than she is right now.
Yeah.
At the age of 60, her career's
everything
better than it's ever been.
Everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, she won an Oscar a couple of years ago for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She originally made her name in Hong Kong martial arts movies. She did all her own fight scenes in this. So is this the part where we both go kung fu and we have a little cutaway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kung fu!
Terry Hatcher as Paris Carver. Yeah. She had made her name 3 or 4 years before this as Lois Lane in The New Adventures of Superman, which I'm sure we all remember watching on Saturday tea times with your tea on your lap. She was actually 3 months pregnant while they were filming this. Monica Bellucci was originally considered for this part, and apparently Pierce Brosnan fought very hard for Monica Bellucci. But the studio insisted on an American lead, so she was rejected. However, Bellucci does have a role in a later Bond film, so that will be coming up. Stamper, the German henchman, played by Götz Otto, a pretty memorable part. Ricky Jay, unfortunately no longer with us. He played Henry Gupta.
That was like
the techno-terrorist.
So a few seconds into the movie, I went, it's Ricky Jay.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge Boogie Nights fan, and he's in Boogie Nights.
He is in Boogie Nights.
And he's also in Magnolia, the Paul Thomas Anderson's
He is. He worked with Paul Thomas Anderson a few times.
He's the narrator in Magnolia right at the beginning. There's an opening sequence about all the coincidences, and he's got this great voice, and he does the he's got that really deadpan.
And he's good in Boogie Nights. I mean, he has a small part, if that's not the wrong phrase when we're talking about Boogie Nights.
Smaller than Mark Wahlberg's part.
Everybody has a smaller part than Mark Wahlberg. But it's quite a memorable role.
He's just very
got
grounded, charismatic.
He's
just really. part of the family. That whole
But he didn't start off. Our American friends will know this, and maybe it's less well known in Britain. He didn't start off as an actor.
He's a close-up card.
He was a card magician, considered one of the best in the world. Yeah. He opened for bands and played comedy clubs with his magic.
Cool guy.
So he was kind of like a rock and roll, card magician.
Very cool.
So yeah, very cool. Joe Don Baker returns as Jack Wade.
Sure does, Jimbo.
CIA liaison.
Jimmy.
Not talking about gardening this time. Very disappointing, but there we are. He is the third man after Charles Gray and Walter Gotell to play a Bond ally and a villain. Because obviously he was a villain in Daylight, so he was an ally both in Goldeneye and in this.
Yeah.
Dr. Kaufman, Vincent Schiavelli, he was one of those guys who sort of popped up in lots of film and TV over the years. Yeah, he's got a very sort of memorable...
Batman Returns.
He was in Batman Returns. He was the organ grinder, wasn't he?
Right.
With the thing.
One of the penguins.
Yeah,
Ghost as well was a big...
Yes, he was in Ghost. He was also in an episode of Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan, so he'd worked with Pierce Brosnan before. We have the return of Bond regulars, Judi Dench as M, Desmond Llewellyn as Q. Desmond Llewellyn was 83 at the time. There was some talk in the build-up to this movie of introducing a new Q and maybe just retiring Desmond off, but they decided to go with it. There was an idea where, according to the Bible of Bond, there was an idea where Q was to have retired and there was a new Q, but at some point in the mission when Bond is in the South China Sea, he was going to drop onto a yacht, a bit like he does in The Living Daylights, where there is Q enjoying his retirement.
Oh God!
On like a Hawaiian shirt or whatever. But that idea was.
I was hoping
binned.
you were going to say that the new Q wasn't up to it and they had to call back on the old one last time. No, that's a much
that would have been a
worse.
better idea. Anyway,
like he's just reduced into like J.W. Pepper.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway, that didn't happen, so they just brought Q back in his regular role, flew him out to Hamburg to do the scenes over there. So, Samantha Bond returns as Miss Moneypenny, of course, M's secretary. We also see for the first time Colin Salmon as Charles Robinson, as M's deputy chief of staff. Now, this was basically...
who lists all the firearms.
That's right, your friend who goes firearm shopping at the start. Michael Kitchen did their chief of staff role, Bill Tanner, in the previous movie. And he returns for the next movie. But he was unavailable for this one, which is why they created the part of Charles Robinson. Colin Salmon was once spoken of as a possible future Bond in some newspapers. Very tall, good-looking guy. Great voice, reminds me of someone.
He really does.
And he's worked pretty solidly in British TV and film for the last 30 years or so. He's currently in EastEnders, believe it or not. And we should probably take a moment here to talk about Jeffrey Palmer, who was Admiral Roebuck. Now, again, our American friends may not know this.
But
he was a very respected British actor. Who popped up in all kinds of things, had an extremely distinctive voice, used for voiceovers a lot, and very sort of...
Very good voice.
Yeah, he did, and a very lugubrious manner that used to come into lots of his acting and that kind of thing. But the thing is, at this time, during 1997, when this was made, he was actually in a sitcom with Judi Dench when they were a couple called As Time Goes By.
As Time Goes By, I couldn't remember which one it was. If it was Ever Decreasing Circle.
No, that was something different. He was in Butterflies before that as well, if you remember. He was a slightly grumpy dad in Butterflies. So, he was in loads of things over the years. So, that might be one where American audiences maybe look and think, it's just a British guy. Whereas we're going...
There's like a little in-joke there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Jeffrey Palmer. He did the voice for Grumpy Old Men or whatever. Right, a few little extras and there's some quite good... figures in the background here. Did you spot any of them?
I spotted a few, actually. I put them in henchman so I didn't forget.
There's a load of actors in this, in very small roles, right at the beginning of their career, who would go on to bigger and better things. So, shall I do it? So, first of all, we have Michael Byrne as the captain of the Bedford. He is the guy from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Vogel, the Nazi who fights with Jones on top of the
beginning, the Bedford. No, that's the
toward the end. Yeah. So that's Michael Byrne. He goes over the cliff on the tank at the end of that movie. We've also got, before Downton Abbey and before Paddington, Hugh Bonneville.
That's the guy.
Yeah, popping up as a officer in the Navy. We've also got, talking of Downton Abbey, the man who created Downton Abbey is Julian Fellows. He is the Minister of Defence in the scenes, at the MOD headquarters. He is now a Conservative peer in the House of Lords.
There we go. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. We've also got Pip Torrens, who was one of those guys who pops up in loads of things. He was Tommy Lascelles in The Crown. He was brilliant in that. He's on the Bedford. We also have Jason Watkins.
I've got a few more.
We're still going. Jason Watkins is on TV all the time in something or other.
Who's he in this?
He is one of the officers on the Bedford. He's got.
Oh, all right. So he's all
the
Bedford lads.
Guy. Yeah. He was also very good in The Crown. He was Harold Wilson in The Crown.
Right.
Did you spot who the leading seaman on the Devonshire was with the slight Scottish accent?
Yeah, Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler, no less.
Blink and you miss him.
It was a real quick role.
Yeah.
But there is a moment where he turns around and you go, that's Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
But yes, it is Gerard Butler. There is also, and this is a bit niche, do you remember Ed Winchester from The Fast Show?
Hi, I'm Ed Winchester.
Winchester.
I didn't look up his real name, but
his real name was Jeff Harding. He's an American actor who's based in Britain. He was on British TV. We should, if our overseas viewers haven't got a clue what's going on here.
Right, The Fast Show.
The Fast Show was a legendary British sketch show in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it would just hop from one thing to another really, really, really quickly, like seconds of a sketch and then move on. And there used to be an American anchorman called Ed Winchester who literally just used to say, "Hi, I'm Ed Winchester," in all these different locations. And that was Jeff Harding. So I can remember watching this in the cinema in 1997 and going, "It's Ed Winchester." so there we are. Did I miss any? Have you got any?
Saw Julian Rhind-Tutt.
Yes, Julian Rhind-Tutt's in it.
And for ages I thought, because he's got a little name tag that says J Tut on it.
Oh, and
I thought, has he still got that on by mistake? Is that like his wardrobe? But no, they've all got those little name tags, but he's just got J Tut on it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So he went on to be in Green Wing, which was quite a thing.
And he's got it there. I've just watched the first one, A Touch of Cloth.
Oh, yeah.
The Charlie Brooker,
the Charlie Brooker
police spoof thing.
Charlie Brooker's a genius.
And Julian Rhind-Tutt is very good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little Michael G. Wilson cameo.
There is.
I consider him slimed. That's it.
It's a slightly bigger cameo than he normally gets this time,
he's got a
isn't
bit
it?
of taste for it.
He has, He's put himself front and centre here, There are loads of little sort of famous faces that pop up all the way through this. So it's good. Right, produced this one by Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, as GoldenEye had been.
Of course.
Special tribute at the end of this movie to Cubby Broccoli, because, of course, he had died in the period between GoldenEye and this movie. The script, we will come to the script in a minute. The script was eventually credited to Bruce Firestein again.
Yes.
But numerous writers had a hand in it. It started with Bruce Firestein, passed all over the place, and ended back with Bruce Firestein. But the script was a bit of a problem for reasons we will come to. The director was Roger Spottiswoode, who was a slightly interesting choice. He hadn't done a lot of action movies before this.
Yeah.
In fact, his credits included Turner and Hooch, and Stop or My Mum Will Shoot.
Flip. Two of my favourite movies.
Exactly. Who doesn't love those movies?
Yeah.
Right, historical context. What else happened that year?
Yeah.
And how does it impact the film? So 1997, we're getting ready for the handover of Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
So that's why a lot of it is set in the Far East. Originally, it was going to be actually set in Hong Kong and directly refer to the handover, but that sort of fell by the way. And also the increasing influence of media barons, so Robert Maxwell, Rupert Murdoch. There's a very obvious reference to Robert Maxwell's death, of course, when M talks about Carver's death. I do like your T-shirt, by the way. You've got a smashing blouse on.
Smashing blouse.
Smashing blouse.
Yeah.
This is the first movie, by the way, with no reference to a Bond novel or short story or to Fleming's life. GoldenEye, of course, was the name of his house in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even that reference this time. This is just totally new, doesn't refer to anything on a short story. They just sort of pretty much run out of them by this point. Right. Problems in production. Ooh. Now, sometimes this is quite a short segment.
Oh, no.
this is quite a long segment, so
Okay.
I'll rattle through it as quick as I can. The main issue with this movie was the script.
Yeah.
They started filming at the beginning of April 1997, and the studio were insisting that they wanted a pre-Christmas release. That gave them just 8 months to make the movie, edit the movie, and get the movie out, right?
Yeah.
Which is very, very tight. And the script wasn't ready. Bruce Firestein was literally writing pages as they were filming. Yeah. And a lot of the actors didn't appreciate this at all. Judi Dench, Jonathan Pryce, they come from classical acting backgrounds. They've done Shakespeare. All of a sudden, they're being told before they go on set, by the way, here's the lines you need to learn. Yeah. Michelle Yeoh said it wasn't so much of a problem because apparently that's how Hong Kong martial arts movies were made all the time in the 80s. Right. But it's not really the way you should be making movies of this kind. So the script was a sort of constant headache. Pierce was also ill with flu for the start of the shoot, which obviously with them being up against it was a bit of a problem. And then in July, he suffered a deep cut to his face doing a stunt and needed 8 stitches in his face. And of course, they couldn't delay filming, so they had to kind of patch him up as best they could with a load of makeup. Although I have to say, it doesn't look obvious in any of the scenes. So they did a great job with it. There was also a major problem with the location. They were due to shoot the scenes in Vietnam, in Vietnam. They were going to go to Ho Chi Minh City. They had permission from the government and so on. A week before filming was due to start there, the government suddenly rescinded permission. It was to be the first American-made movie since the Vietnam War made there. For whatever reason, the government revoked the permission to do it a week before. So all of that had to be very rapidly moved to Bangkok. So they literally had to go sort of recce sites and almost shoot immediately. So again, a real feeling of pressure throughout the whole production. There was also a lot of reports in the papers at the time about what's the phrase we would use, strained relationship, shall we say, between Pierce Brosnan and Terry Hatcher, who apparently were not the best of friends. The other thing that happened while this movie was being made is that Barbara Broccoli was friends with Dodi Fayed, who of course was killed along with Princess Diana while they were making this movie. So to say this movie was a difficult experience for everybody, I think is rather understating the case, to be honest. It sounds like a very difficult shoot for a whole variety of reasons. They did manage to get it into cinemas just before Christmas. I think it was like the 18th of December or something it launched. And it so happened that it actually launched on the same day as Titanic.
Yeah.
So obviously that affected the box office a wee bit. Well, why not? Anyway,
good job they rushed the whole
Well,
thing.
exactly, rushed it just so they could release it along with Titanic. Anyway, critical reviews for this were probably not quite as good as they've been for GoldenEye. Generally good, but not quite as positive. Rotten Tomatoes today has a 57% rating, so it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. However, it has been sort of reviewed in recent years because it's quite prescient with regard to media empires and obviously Murdoch and everything else that's going on with people building media, and I guess you would say social media as well.
I guess so. I mean, it doesn't know that that's coming, so it doesn't.
No, of course. But in terms of one guy having this unbelievable power to reach people, absolutely. The box office. Budget for this movie was 110 million. Box office 339 million. So a little bit less than GoldenEye, but still a big success. Yeah. And like I say, considering it came out alongside Titanic, a pretty good box office, I think, given that Titanic took 2.5 billion or whatever it was. Yeah. Anyway, that's the background. We will now assess this movie using our usual high quality intellectual rigor, which we're famed. And we will score the movie on the BondBoard when we return in just a moment. Tom, will you please activate the BondBoard?
BondBoard activate.
Activation complete.
I'm I'm not sure I'm emotionally strong enough to take it.
Pull yourself together, we'll be okay.
Right, here is the BondBoard. Tomorrow Never Dies is here. As you can see, the top 3 on the BondBoard are, Tom?
Well, GoldenEye and Thunderball on a double douche. With 186 each. Yes. And then it is Goldfinger with 191. And at number 1 we got The Spy Who Loved Me. I'm sure that's 198. Thank you very much.
So can Tomorrow Never Dies break into the top 3? Can it slam dunk into the top 3, mate?
Probably not, mate. But
Probably not, mate, but let's give it a go, mate. Or is it going to be absolutely bottom-tastic and finish bottom of the old division there, mate? Right. The opening sequence is the first element to our Bond film. So a few little things to point out here.
Yeah.
First of all, we're back to the classic gun barrel. We've got the classic music.
He did go a lot. He went way back, didn't he?
And he also does a good gun barrel pierce, doesn't he? The standing up very tall as he spins around and shoots. Good gun barrel. Colin Salmon is introduced as as you say, the voiceover saying, "Well, there's all the Russian MiG missiles and nothing else." I do like the way Pierce blows everything up in the plane.
Very good.
There is a bit where he just sort of looks and thinks, "Yeah, solid," and just everything you can see, which is quite cool. We have another outing for the Brosnan pain face. When he's in the plane, the sort of face that Pierce does.
Yeah.
Would a man being shot headfirst into the plane above him cause it to explode?
Yeah.
The guy gets fired into it and then the plane explodes. Did he land in the fuel tank?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Was he lighting a fag at the time? I don't know.
We don't know. But
we don't know. I would just report one thing. I watched this again with my son, who said that he couldn't. He has seen it with me before, when it was re-released in the cinema 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But he said he couldn't really remember much about it.
Yeah.
But he got to the end of the opening sequence and said that was a much better opening sequence as far as he was concerned than GoldenEye's. Because he felt there was sort of less nonsense. It was straight to the action, jump in the plane, there's bombs, there's strangling, there's things blowing up, and he was sort of straight into the action. So, interesting perspective.
I thought it was cool, but nothing mind-blowing compared with stuff we've seen before.
Nothing that would stick in your mind?
No.
I mean, bear in mind some of the previous opening title sequences are obviously skiing off the mountain and the dam jump in GoldenEye and all that kind of thing. I agree. There's nothing quite as memorable as that.
But I've only gone 7.
I also have gone 7.
Okay,
it's interesting. A pair of 7s to start us off.
Yeah.
Jolly good. Right. The theme song is the next element.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the theme song, obviously, Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow. You all right? Am I boring you? You
I'm
disappearing? No, that's fine. Ah, you're going to treat us.
This is like...
I have my guitar. I want to play the guitar.
You know in Whose Line Is It Anyway? When they go... Normally they go and it's Richard Vance
on the piano. Yeah.
And then one in about 20 that goes Richard Vance on the guitar.
On the guitar.
And he'll kind of turn around and go like that. That's what we're doing tonight. Oh.
Well, Richard, what have you got for us?
Well, you carry on.
Okay, well, the theme song is Sheryl Crow's Tomorrow Never Dies. Now, there was a suggestion that this might be Surrender, written by David Arnold, performed by K.D. Lang. Some fans, in fact, a lot of fans, prefer Surrender, which is what plays over the closing credits, and would rather that was the Bond theme.
Yeah.
I've always thought that Sheryl Crow's Bond theme was pretty solid. Seems like a perfectly solid Bond theme to me.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do prefer Surrender. The bands that submitted themes that were rejected for this, Saint Etienne, they submitted one. And Pulp submitted one. Pulp's was actually called Tomorrow Never Lies, which was the original name of the movie. It was changed, possibly because of a typo, due to Tomorrow Never Dies. So their version of Tomorrow Never Lies actually went on to be the B-side to the single Help the Aged later in the year. Are you okay there?
Yeah,
we're not doing Brian May again.
No.
Okay.
What do you mean?
No, sorry. Yeah, that was genuinely Brian May, wasn't it? Sorry. So this is a different guitar than the one you played. Sorry, the one Brian played.
Yeah, no, well,
Before.
yeah, it's my guitar, not Brian May's guitar.
Right, okay, that would be why.
No,
It's nicely
this is my little-
decorated.
It's my little 2/3 one. Ooh. So yeah, I like this song. Oh. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mix it up a bit. It's very Bond like that.
It is, isn't
It's
it?
almost a reverse. It's doing
Yeah, I hadn't spotted that before.
this. Very bluesy.
You sound just like Sheryl Crow.
Until the day.
Until
A bit of Bond, a bit of the. You hear that?
yeah.
It's very that.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, now is that the Bond chord?
That is a variation
That
of
is,
it.
yeah,
Oh,
the Bond chord, yeah. That's nice. I like the way you did that. So that's the theme song. What do you think of it? Apart from the fact that you know how to play it on
well,
the
learning how
guitar.
to play it. Sometimes I learn how to play it and I think, oh, that was a bit boring. This was a slight challenge,
Interesting,
working it all out. And yeah, like I say, it's got that very, I like making the retro sound on the guitar.
The way you played it just there,
Yeah.
that almost, I guess it was the sound of the guitar, but it almost sounded a bit sort of Tarantino-ish. A bit,
yeah. Well,
you could
that's-
imagine it being in Kill Bill or something, you know?
It's got that, yeah.
Got a bit
I
of
did
that
put
about
a
it,
bit of
hasn't it?
vibrato on
Is that what it
guitar,
is?
but
Okay.
yeah, I like that. They went with a retro feel, but not hanging on to other than the dum da dum
Yeah.
da dum, which they put in like it's
Bit of a
there.
nod to the past.
It's not
Yeah,
quite
Yeah.
Goldfinger and License to Kill. You know,
yeah.
it's just this is Bond.
Yeah. We all like a bit of vibrato, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, so...
Oh, I will just say, there's a line in the song as well that when she says, martinis, girls and guns, and it's like, no, it's gadgets, gags and girls, but, well, yeah, anyway.
That's aching for a rewrite. Come on, as soon as you get a few minutes.
I liked
Okay,
it.
well, I've said 7, but having heard you play that, I'm tempted to up it to an 8 now.
Well, I've gone 8.
Go on, stick a pair of 8s
It's up to
down.
you.
Yeah, go on, I like it. I like what you've done with that.
Yeah.
You've made me view it in a different light.
Yeah.
You know, the slightly bluesier angle to it. I do like my blues, so that's excellent. So that takes us on to the music and the score.
Yeah, which I haven't
for the movie.
done my normal thing because I was
Because you were busy on
playing
the guitar. No, that's all right. You're excused. It's fine. Don't worry. So the score this time, strangely enough, after Goldeneye, and I know you'll find this hard to believe, Eric Serra wasn't invited back. I can't think why that might be.
Weird.
Very strange decision.
Yes.
That. Anyway, they went with David Arnold. They did approach John Barry again. Yeah, they went with John.
Eric Serra over here.
David Arnold at this time had literally just done with a whole. I don't know if you remember this, with a whole variety of different artists.
No, I've listened
He'd done
to
an
quite
album of
recently.
Bond covers called Shaken and Stirred, in which he worked with a load of different artists, including the Propeller Heads. Look at that, right on cue.
Whoa.
As if it was planned.
That's an
It's
actual-
amazing, isn't it?
God, it's even like back for fast use. Back.
Nice.
I normally put them away properly, but that's from my DJing days.
Yeah.
Where you just got to go
Straight in, straight out.
in my bedroom.
Sure. all my DJing was CDs, which is cheating. But anyway, so David Arnold basically is a big John Barry fan and called back to John Barry a great deal. I personally think it's really nice to have those classic strings back.
I liked it.
I think it would have
went,
lifted
it went a
Goldeneye.
bit like there was just, we'll do this one and we'll do that. Dun,
Yeah,
dun, 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 dun.
He was going through the greatest
They
hits
were
a
all
little
a
bit.
bit, yeah,
But, you know-
crowd pleasers, but maybe a bit of crowd pleasing once in a while.
And
is
also,
a good thing.
don't forget, it was missing from GoldenEye. So
was.
then you're going back to... It was really missing from GoldenEye. Then it goes back to License to Kill.
Yeah.
So you're going quite a long way back then before we really... And don't forget, John Barry didn't do License to Kill. So then you're going back to The Living Daylights. Well, that was 10 years previously. So it's really 10 years since you've had a Barry-esque Bond score.
Right, yeah,
so
yeah,
it's probably
fair.
a good time to sort of reintroduce it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is I think there's a feeling with David Arnold that he gets it. I
Yeah.
think he understands. He loves Bond. He loves Bond movies, Bond music. He loves John Barry. He gets
Right.
what his assignment is. He's
right.
not going to go, let's have an experimental piece of electronica or yeah, exactly, or you know, let's get the art of noise in to do this
Yeah,
or anything like that.
okay.
Like, he gets the assignment.
And there is like there's the I see this is the kind of stuff I normally do with the
Yeah,
drum
yeah,
loops and stuff, but
yeah.
down down.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit of that 90s.
There is.
But it's sort of okay. It's kind of like it's not as
And again, he's
clangy
working with
as,
propeller heads, so it's
yeah,
it's got
exactly.
that
So
vibe
it's
to it.
got some of that stuff's a bit like there's movies from that time which use that style of music, or
Yeah.
maybe the electronica, trying to be like the Matrix a couple of years later.
Exactly that, and
cyberpunks and all this, and 20 years later, 30 years later, you just think, oh god, it clangs.
it ages
Whereas
a little
this
bit.
is
Yeah.
all right. It doesn't stand
Yeah.
out too much.
And
you
he
know.
does go a little bit more electronic in the Hamburg sections.
Yeah.
He goes a little bit more towards a sort of South Asian influence later on, obviously, when they're in Vietnam. Again, I think that works. So I like it. The callbacks in this, you'll have noticed as a musician, I'm sure,
Yeah.
are not to Tomorrow Never
Exactly.
Dies by Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
It's to Surrender. He also puts the classic theme into the motorbike chase, which
Yes.
is the big action set piece, just as we talked about in the
talked about
GoldenEye
that
episode,
soon, yeah.
where the classic theme was thrown into the tank chase
Yes.
in St. Petersburg. So again, he gets it. You know,
He gets it.
You need that. You need that music at that moment. you know?
Okay.
So with all that in mind, yeah, okay, maybe a little Barry-esque over the top in places, but I think overall a really good score.
What's your
Right,
what's your
I'll say
final
7.
answer?
Go on, I'll say 7.
7.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go 8. Having you gone up one,
Persuaded by the context.
and I've been persuaded by the context on this one.
Okay,
So
fine.
I've gone higher than you, like it.
I know.
Very.
Listen,
logical.
you're the musician. You're
Yeah.
the one who plays the guitar beautifully. So I'll stand by you on that one. Right, stunts is next. There are a number of quite extended action sequences in this. Obviously, there's the opening title sequence with Bond sort of flying
Sort of
around, blowing up anything he
explosions
sees.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extended action sequence in the print works, where you think
Yeah.
it's over and then there's a little bit more.
Yeah. Not bad.
The car park sequence with the remote control car,
Yeah.
which took a long time to film and had an awful lot
bet,
going on
yeah.
in it. We've also got the Halo jump.
Yeah.
Would it surprise you if I told you that was B.J. Worth again
okay.
doing all that stuff? He made 200 jumps
Bloody hell.
for that few seconds of footage.
Yeah.
The jump off the building in Vietnam, which I
That's
think works
fantastic,
rather
yeah.
well. I think that's a good sequence. And then,
Handcuff, banner, jump. Yeah.
and then you've got the big motorbike chase,
big
which I
bloody
guess is,
motorbike.
as I said, equable to the tank sequence in GoldenEye. Although in some ways kind of the opposite to that, because in that, Bond is driving a tank and just smashing
Yeah,
through
yeah.
anything that moves.
Yeah, I think
in this, he's on a motorbike,
Bit vulnerable.
very vulnerable, being chased by a helicopter.
I like the
of all things.
cooperative motorbike riding.
Yeah, yeah.
One of Wayland's hands, one of
Works quite well, doesn't it?
The jump over the helicopter,
Yeah,
pretty bloody cool.
yeah. BMW provided 15 motorbikes for that sequence. They destroyed 12.
Cool.
So yeah, pretty good hit rate on that. Good sequence though.
Very
I like
good,
it. I think it works really well.
You got the escape under the copter blades as well.
Yep. That's your classic motorbike thing. If you can get it sliding, isn't it? You see that in a few movies, don't you? Where that's quite a cool stunt to sort of do that.
Yeah.
How come you don't? I know nothing about motorbikes, so forgive me if this is a stupid question. If you're riding a motorbike and you're going along on your side, surely you're going to smash your leg to pieces, aren't you? Or do they have?
That's why you wear your leathers. Isn't it?
Yeah, but there's leathers and there's a suit of armour you'd need for that, surely. He goes about 100 yards along the road.
James Bond, and he's done.
Well, exactly.
He's hard as nails.
I don't know why he does that, but he's not showing off.
Anyway, before there was a really shit CGI drill.
Yeah.
But when it does the damage in the and it's drilling through all the shit and
the
great
water's gushing in. Yeah.
Great day of filming there for all those blokes nearly drowning. Good. Ah! Yeah, I love all that stuff, so it's always good. Hope everyone was okay.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's also the fight where there's that mixing desk where he kind of smashes through this glass and.
Oh yeah. I quite like that. Where the guy's watching telly, but you can't hear the fight going on because it's in a soundproof room.
I'll have to do some interactive feedback. Ooh. Stevie, if you're watching, I know you are. I hope you are. You bloody
Come on, Stevie.
Yeah. Right, my mate Stevie, he basically knows the bloke who bought that mixing desk after it was covered in sugar glass in an auction. Yeah, and because he used to work in this studio, I think. He'll have to tell me in Feedback Corner.
I'm hugely impressed, Stevie.
So the correct story, because he's told me and I obviously forgotten because I'm rubbish.
No, that's good though.
Yeah, but I'm mates with someone who bought that mixing desk.
You wait till we get to Skyfall. I've got a really good one.
Oh, okay.
I've got a really good one for that. Okay, well that's...
Or you're mates with Adele.
Dan, you guessed.
But yeah.
Yeah, well,
we'll come back
good.
to that next episode. I think
okay.
Stevie said he was going to write to us. And
one for Feedback Corner. We're preloading Feedback Corner for the next episode. So, good stunts. Some really good stunt sequences in this. What are you saying for stunts?
I got 8. I really like the
helicopter
motorbike
chase.
And and yes, the whole handcuffed. Bit of a mix of we haven't really done this before. Where he's like in a jam and got to
I've also got 8.
Cool.
And you're right. The fact he has to work together with Wei Lin as well is quite good. She's operating the clutch, he's operating the accelerator, and all that. I think is quite a nice touch.
Liked it a lot.
So happy with that. Right, vehicles. Well, first of all, we've got the stealth boat that you can't see. Except you can.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that either. Then on the stealth boat, there's the remote control drill thing.
Yes.
Which is, I do like the way Stamper sort of goes, and again, 1997, so we're talking about quite a long time ago. I do like the way he's going, go up, and you see the cars. And then he's like, go through there, and turn left, and go through. And it's just carnage on the ship. But then Stamper's all nice and calm going, turn left. Yeah. So I think that works quite well. We have, if you're a fan of Royal Naval frigates, this is the film
Which
for
you
you.
know I am.
Oh, yeah, I know. This is your thing.
I am. Shut up, man.
All you ever talk about. We have the Chester. What's the plural of frigates is? We have the Chester, the Devonshire, and the Bedford. All fictional, by the way. Yeah. But it does give you a lot of chance to see some excellent Royal Navy battleships and about 1 million different Royal Naval officers all competing to see who can get the best accent.
Yes.
Green 30, torpedo. Brace.
Yeoman's Centre Admiralty have been torpedoed by Chinese MiGs, sinking.
The car this time, once again, is a BMW, but it's not the little Z3 that we saw in GoldenEye. It's basically the exact opposite. The Z3 is a tiny little 2-seater, low-slung sports car. This is a huge cruiser, the BMW 750. I don't know if you remember this car. It took about a week to walk around it. It's an enormous thing. It's really wide, like a massive motorway cruising car. Very sort of huge and unwieldy. Very different to the kind of car that we've seen Bond in for a little while, actually. I don't know if... Did you notice the number plates?
No.
The number plates on the BMW is the German version of the number plate that he has on the Aston Martin DB5. Nice, eh?
Very
nice
good.
little touch. Very good.
Very good.
And the motorbike. Now, I confess here, I know nothing about motorbikes, but I did a little looking into this. This is the I hope this means something to someone. This is the BMW R1200C motorbike, which, from what I can ascertain, is a huge and very sort of cumbersome motorbike.
I'm hearing the 1200. I'm thinking that's a big one.
Sounds big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks big, doesn't it? When they're both on it, it's got those huge, like Dennis Hopper and Easy Rider, right? And you would think for sort of nipping around a busy city like Ho Chi Minh City, you would want something really small and nippy. So, yes, it's a bike and he's vulnerable, but it's actually like the worst kind of bike he could be on.
Yeah.
But I guess that was part of the tie-in with BMW. BMW were paying the money, so that's the bike you'll be using.
Yeah.
Barbara and Michael, off you go. Any vehicles I've missed?
Not any real ones. There's a trolley dash where he kind of sit like face down, chest down on the trolley.
Nice.
Like
trolley luge.
Yeah. And I'll just point out that his parking's terrible.
Yeah, it's not
when he
very
goes
good,
in that NCP. Is it an NCP?
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Multi-story.
I was going to get to this on locations, but we'll do it now. It's supposed to be in Hamburg, right? This multi-story car park in Hamburg. It's Brent Cross Shopping Centre in North London. So yeah, it pretty much is a shopping centre car park.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's not really good at parking.
No, he's not. He doesn't.
I won't mark him down for that, though.
No, quite. So I've said, some interesting vehicles, but maybe not particularly memorable.
Yeah.
Would that be fair? I'm not a huge fan of the stealth boat. I think it's all right, but I wouldn't go overboard. Mate, actually, I've said 6. Maybe that's a little harsh.
Oh, it's a bit, I reckon.
I don't like the 750 though. It's so enormous. And
that's all right then. You go 6. I've only gone 7.
Okay.
But yeah, I like the bike, but it's more the use of the bike, which I've rated high in stunts.
Yeah. Shall we talk about the villain? I believe the villain is the next subject. Elliot Carver, of course, played by Sir, as he is now, Jonathan Pryce. He's absolutely chewing the scenery at times in this, isn't he? He's really gone for it in a big way. And I don't mind that. I do think some of his dialogue is terrific. Yeah. And I think if you're going to have an actor like that, who is used to performing Shakespeare and, this great, these great monologues, these great speeches, let him off the leash. Do it. When he's doing all the stuff about Caesar had his legions and Napoleon had his armies and all that stuff.
Okay,
if you're going to have that stuff, you get someone like Jonathan Pryce.
That's better than... I found it a bit cringy, the mad cow disease stuff. Oh, I had no... Of course, there's no truth in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
and it's the way he's, like, twirling
his
invisible moustache. And there's, of course, no reason that I let the French run the story for, and all that. And it's like, oh...
But again...
I don't know, it's a bit on the nose.
You're right, it is a bit on the nose.
Heavy,
that said, I think now, obviously, knowing what we know about what was going on in the media then...
Yeah.
They don't mention phone hacking, but I guess there's a sort of underlying implication of that. So, I quite like him, I have to say. The only thing I would say is, and we're going to talk about this when we get to the story, but crap death. Sorry, that's not a great death.
Good.
If the drill is coming towards you, and Bond holds him there as late as possible, and then lets him go to get out the way himself. So why doesn't Carver just jump?
What's your point? No, I don't understand, mate. What are you talking about?
If Carver... I can understand, like, with Stamper, he's wedged there so he can't move, but...
Why don't you just jump?
Yeah. Carver, if you'd have sort of...
Just nitpicking.
Stuck him on something so he couldn't move, and then the drill gets him. Brilliant. I just thought it was a bit weak. Anyway, I like the villain. I like Jonathan Pryce. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I've seen him in loads of things over the years, and he is a terrific actor.
He is good, isn't he?
I have said 7.
I've gone 6.
Okay.
All right.
Of course it's all right. What are you trying to say? No, it's not all right. Outside. Of course it's all right.
I thought he was all right.
I'm not going to tell you what to put. Okay. Henchmen should be next.
Yeah.
So that leaves us to Stamper. Stamper, I quite like. The only thing that I think he, like I said, I think he's quite cool and quite. You feel like he's controlled when he's talking in a very matter-of-fact way about how he's going to torture Bond and stuff like that. I quite like him. The only bit where that sort of mask slips is right at the end when he's about to die, and he's the foot's there and he's about to die. He does a real proper, as you would say, what face when Bond gets out of the harness and he's just stood there holding down, and the countdown's at 2 or whatever it is. What? Which is a bit strange, but on the whole, I think he's a pretty solid henchman.
He's solid, but
a little unremarkable,
I'd say.
Yeah.
Compared with your Jules. With your odd job,
you got your Jules, you got your odd job, darling, and
you got your bleach blonde German.
You got your bleach blonde German. I mean, it's been done, hasn't it?
It has been done.
Yeah.
With I can't even remember that guy's name. Biggin. What was his name?
Hans in You Only Live Twice.
That's right.
Yeah. Bon appetit.
Yes.
Gupta.
Yeah.
Have we made full use of Ricky Jay? Not really. I don't think.
Not really. I was like really excited when I saw him in the beginning, and then no.
Could have done.
But no, they did not.
Yeah,
they did not make good use of Ricky.
However,
he could have done some card magic.
Exactly, they could have flicked
full Bond.
He could do that thing where he threw the card or anything. Yeah. One character, one small sort of henchman type character, I think they do get the most out of is Dr. Kaufman.
Oh yeah,
who I absolutely love his cameo. He's fantastic, and I mean he's clearly barking mad, but very cold, very cool, very sort of what he says about I could shoot you from Stuttgart and have the required effect. I love all that stuff, and then in the middle of it all, I do think the bit works really well where Stamper calls him to try and get him in the car, and he's saying, I'm terribly embarrassed, I don't know what to say. I just think he plays it beautifully.
It's a good scene, and it's kind of refreshing in a way to have that kind of one scene wonder.
Yeah.
I like that, when you kind of, you know he ain't going to be around for long when you see him, when in the situation he's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a bit like 5 minutes or so with a bit of a monologue, and
you know what it is? It's what I call the Christopher Walken in True Romance effect. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's in one scene, but oh my god, what a scene! Right? And he's a bit like that, isn't he? I mean, he's really, really terrific in this. And credit to Brosnan, because Brosnan plays off him very well as well.
Yeah,
he doesn't sort of overdo the humour, but there is a kind of humorous side to it. You can see him also trying to. What can I say to try and get me out of this? It won't look like suicide if you shoot me from over there, and all that kind of stuff. So I really like it. I think that's a terrific scene. Yeah. So I've sort of come down 1 for Stamper, but up 1 for Gupta rather, but up 1 for Kaufman.
Yeah.
So I've ended up at a 7.
The same, yeah. For the same reasons, really. Yeah. There we go.
And next we have Location.
Yeah.
Location. The pre-title sequence, which is supposed to be the jumble sale of weapons, it was actually filmed at an airport in the Pyrenees, en France.
Okay.
Oui, c'est très bon pour le movie. C'est bon. Bit of French there, as you know I'm fluent. Some nice shots of Oxford with the professor. Some nice establishing shots of Oxford. Hamburg, I sort of looks quite industrial. I've never been to Hamburg.
No.
It sort of looks quite. They were going to use Seville, where I was last week, but sorry, I just dropped that in casually. But Hamburg, looks a bit more sort of industrial. So maybe that's the look they were going for. I don't know. Then of course you've got the car chase in the car park, which we've talked about. Yeah. Brent Cross Shopping Centre in North London, and after that the action goes off to what is supposed to be Vietnam. They refer to it as Saigon, although it's officially Ho Chi Minh City now. Right. And Ha Long Bay, which was actually filmed in Bangkok and other locations in Thailand. So we're back in Thailand where we were for The Man with the Golden Gun. Yeah. I think Bangkok looks pretty good. I do think they do a pretty good job of getting the sort of noise and bustle and heat and humidity
the best,
of Bangkok.
Of location there,
I think so. Yeah, I think so too.
Nothing's like really that noteworthy in terms of sets. I didn't notice anything that Well, literally didn't know anything.
I quite
So
like
nothing noteworthy.
I quite like the interior on the stealth boat.
It's all right.
It sort of fits where
It's
you would
got-
imagine it
there's
to be,
nothing-
but it's
yeah.
not terribly memorable.
Nothing I'm going to mark down for, but yeah. Nothing that made me go, oh,
Ooh,
God,
that's
going
amazing.
to raise the score a bit.
Yeah,
so I've
yeah.
only gone 6.
I've also said 6. So there we are. We're matching almost on all these
a
categories.
lot.
Aren't we?
Yeah.
We're matching quite a lot. Shall we talk about the story?
We can.
I know we've had your amazing plot summary,
Yeah.
but let's try to improve on it, if
Well,
such a
what do you
thing as
say?
possible.
What do you reckon?
I mean, I mentioned earlier, my son said the story kind of didn't stick with him, which
Yeah.
I do sort of get. I have to say, when I watched this, they re-released all the Bond films in the summer of 2022 to the big screen, and we watched them all in the cinema. And I watched it in 97 in the cinema, but I hadn't seen it a great deal since. And what I'd forgotten was what a good pace it moves at.
Yeah.
It really does zip all over the
It
world
does.
really quickly at a great pace. Really up until Bond and Wei Lin set off together to try and find the stealth boat, and toward that final
On this one,
quarter of the movie on the stealth boat. It really does rattle along
It
for the
does.
first 3 quarters.
And it's only, I know it's only taken like 10 minutes off, but it's bang on 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it does.
It does
seem to
make a
just-
difference.
Just
It does
really
make a
rip
difference.
through. Yeah, like you say.
It really does.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it more than I remembered when I saw it on the big screen 3 years ago. So I've sort of been a bit more warm to it since then.
Okay.
The one thing that I've always felt with this movie, and I felt it from the first time I watched it back in 97, I don't really like the climax on the stealth boat.
Okay.
I like seeing Bond sneaking around, just a man with a little gun trying to solve a bigger problem. Running around with a machine gun isn't really my thing for Bond.
Yeah.
So I felt it was a little
Fair.
bit machine gun heavy in that final quarter
Yeah.
on the stealth boat.
Okay.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good action sequence. It works quite well, but I don't
Not
think
quite
it's
Bond.
No, it's not.
Not quite my tempo.
Not quite Bondy enough, really, for me. So that I think probably lets the story down slightly.
Yeah.
Considering what I said earlier about the problems they had with the script, and they were literally trying to find locations at the last minute, writing pages at the last minute. It's actually not a terrible story.
Yeah, it doesn't-
when you consider all the problems
It's
they have.
not a movie where you kind of think, well, what I thought they would.
Yeah, what the hell's going on there? Yeah. It's not like that.
Well,
It is coherent.
Little heavy-handed with the satire.
The local authorities believe the media mogul committed suicide.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I've only given it a 6. Have you got?
I
More to
have
say?
given it a 7.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it more than I remembered, but I do think that final sequence lets it down a bit.
Okay.
We have 3 categories left,
We do indeed, mate.
and you know what that means.
They are.
Gadgets, gags, and girls.
Gadgets, gags, and girls.
Bayek.
All of which were available at my birthday party. Right, gadgets. Right, I've got mobile phone lock opener thing with
Yeah.
fingerprint scanner thing
Yeah.
and electric shock thing and
Electroshock.
remote control for car
That's
thing.
pretty good.
All in one thing.
All in one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is quite a serious gadget, isn't it?
Bloody good, mate.
Bloody good gadget.
Yeah.
1997, that one.
That is a high score for me.
Yeah, no, it is a good gadget. And I quite like the idea. He keeps going back to one gadget and using it for different things.
Good.
That's quite cool.
Yeah.
And without it, of course, Dr. Kaufman puts him away.
Of course.
So it does save his life. So it's a useful gadget.
Very
as well.
useful.
Very nice.
He's also got with the car. He's got like brilliant security system, which we touched upon.
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
That's a fun little bit where they're trying to get into
It
the
is.
car.
I quite like the idea they're throwing sledgehammers and bouncing off
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think that works
and
quite
there's
well.
like smoke and gas that comes out of it.
Yeah.
And then like spikes come out the back when he's on the
Yeah. The usual refinements, I think.
reinflatable
Kira
tyres.
The reinflatable tyres are an excellent idea. Having spent an enormous amount of money at Quick Fit only yesterday, I would quite like the idea of reinflatable tyres, to be perfectly honest.
Did you get them to install a wire cutter at a perfect height to
Yes.
cut a wire?
And
Yeah.
from the BMW badge popping
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Sadly, the Renault Zoe doesn't come with that. But, you know,
Does it not?
don't know what they were thinking of.
Huh.
the Chinese base with all the hidden equipment.
Oh yeah, there's like the dragon thing.
Quite like that. Something of a throwback, isn't it? Having a sort
Pretty
of simple looking building, and he presses all these buttons and stuff appears and comes down and turns around, and it's an arsenal of all these different weapons and all
liked
that.
it.
I bet you were salivating all those different guns, weren't you?
Bloody was.
You love your
I
guns.
really bloody was, mate.
Yes, certainly was, mate.
Did you see? We have it quite commonplace now. The pads, like the typing pads.
Oh yeah,
Carver's got one of them.
Like an early version of an iPad.
What
really.
the flip's he doing though when he's going?
And he's really typing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows what he's up
No,
to there,
no,
but you know that was fun.
Yeah, all good. And also, I'll refer to you as the gun expert here. But new Walther.
Oh yeah.
It's the P9 rather than the
Yes.
traditional PPK that Bond normally
I was
uses.
going to say that
You
because
would
I know
thought
all
so,
about guns.
because you are the gun expert.
Yeah.
Sure. So yes, he uses a new Walther in this. So any other gadgets?
No, I think it was pretty light, but really good. And with
reusing one gadget repeatedly.
the remote
quite a nice
control
idea.
there, various
I like
uses.
the fingerprint scanner, and then he holds it to the thing.
alright.
That was pretty good in 1997. You know,
Yeah.
we're going back nearly 30 years. It's not
Yeah.
bad, is it?
Yeah,
So I'm saying 7.
same there.
Good, a solid 7 for gadgets.
Yeah.
It's not. Do you know what? This isn't going to be a bad
It's
score.
not
You
really
know.
that bad. I was thinking, I didn't note too much down. That changed with gags. Well, actually, no. I
Go
wrote
ahead,
a few
go
gags
ahead.
down.
Let's do gags. Go ahead. What have you
We'll
got?
do gags then. I wrote some down, but it's not as long a list as normal.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's
I've
see what we've
got thwack, filthy habit with
Yes.
that smoker.
Yes.
Got some bonus points here twice because one he says backseat driver to nobody.
Yes.
And I like when he says he's like I've just got to say that out loud because it's such a brilliant joke, even though no one else is listening.
Because I'm James Bond. and
Because
that's
I'm
what I do.
James bloody Bond. Yeah. I've always enjoyed studying a new tongue, Professor, which I
Yeah.
think he says in a foreign language. That'll
Danish.
be up in
Danish
It
is, yeah,
is in
yeah,
Danish.
yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's just here in Oxford brushing up on a
It's
little
on a
Danish.
little Danish. Yes.
And then Moneypenny says you always were a cunning linguist, James.
yes.
Just want to point out Bond is a biter. Look out, ladies. He's
Oh,
a bite.
yes.
He likes a bite. He's a biter.
A nibble. A nibble.
He likes a bite at her shoulder. He knows
Yeah.
what he's biting. So careful because he bites the Danish girl,
He does.
woman, professor,
He does.
and he bites Hatcher as well. So he has a bit of a bite.
yeah.
He likes her. So I'm just.
Do you know, I
saying,
hadn't noticed that.
He's a biter.
Oh, right, okay. Be careful, ladies.
Okay. Just a caution. All right.
Caution.
Q filling out the insurance form is
Yeah,
brilliant.
that is a series of really great gags. I
That's
really
great,
like that.
with all the, you know.
And I do like the way Desmond says,
I am not interested in your sordid escapades. Let's get on with it, shall we?
I do like
Yeah.
that. That's like one of the lines from the films in the 60s, isn't it, with Connery?
Yeah.
That's a really good line. I like that.
Yeah, and just it's not really a gag, but it's just when after he's done a bit of a burn around with the car on the remote
Yeah,
control,
yeah.
parks right, and he
Yeah.
goes right up to them, and I think we understand each other, and he's just
Grow up, 007.
yes,
Yes. Go on.
you're right, Desmond. They'll print anything these days.
Yeah.
To nobody.
Yeah,
He says
to
that
nobody.
again to himself.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Can I just point out there's another one that he says to himself before that?
Oh.
I think it's time for a station break.
Oh.
Which he says to himself.
Yeah.
Well, unless you count the unconscious bodies around him. And also, by the way, we don't call it a station break in Britain. That's an
Yeah.
American thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a bit where he's flying around and there's all the posters and the big banners of Carver, and he says about Oedipus complex.
Yeah.
That's the wrong.
That's not an
Messiah
Oedipus complex.
He means
No,
Messiah
he means
complex.
Messiah complex. Yeah, yeah.
Just want to nitpick there.
No, that's true.
Good.
Moneypenny has a bit of a gag heavy scene in this because she does the cunning linguist line, which is a bit clang, but
Yeah,
okay.
it is all right.
But she's also got the line about how much pumping you need to do, James.
Yeah.
So she's sort of getting in on the action
Yes.
here. The fight in the soundproof room, I think, is quite good. I quite like the idea the fight's going on. The guy's completely
alright.
oblivious to it. I think the car talking to him generally is clearly a big.
Yeah.
When she's saying slow down as
And
he's
then-
sat on the back seat.
Reminder, unsafe driving will void warranty.
And then when he
Using
gets out of it for the valet or whatever, he's like, don't let her push you around.
That's right.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Bond's reaction to Wade's Hawaiian shirt, where he just sort of looks him up and down and is like,
Yeah.
oh God. And Wade saying he didn't even say goodbye.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
And I've also got written here, keep your shirt on.
Yeah, he says that when Waylon gets a shirt in her face or something.
Yeah.
On the bike.
Motorbike. Yeah. A few little gags on the motorbike as well. Yeah. So, very gag-heavy movie, actually.
It's all right.
I mean, it's not quite Moonraker, but it's nearly. There's a lot of gags in it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of one-liners, which, again, considering they're sort of battling with the script as they're making the movie, maybe they sort of fell back on a few one-liners as a bit of a safety valve. I don't know,
yeah.
but it's very gag-heavy. So what are you saying for gags?
On 7.
I have also gone 7. Which, that's an 8.
That's an 8.
Yeah, the one before that. There we go. Which takes us to Girls. And, right, Michelle Yeoh, of course.
I'm a massive fan.
Yeah, you could
I'm a
not.
massive fan of her in this movie.
And in
I'm just
everything,
gonna,
really.
But in this, I thought
Yeah.
she was fantastic.
She is really good in this.
Yeah.
I think she's... We talked about Natalia in GoldenEye being a sort of match for Bond in terms of her sort of pushing him around a bit and ordering around and being very, resourceful and knowing how to use a weapon and all that. Wayland's like the next level up, isn't she? Because she is Bond's equal. You know, she is a highly trained secret agent who can do all the things that Bond can do.
Yeah.
You know, and works together. And Michelle Yeoh is just a fantastic piece of casting.
Great,
I've
yeah.
seen some criticism of this online saying that some people don't think there's enough chemistry between Brosnan and Michelle Yeoh. I'm not sure about that. I think it's a different kind of relationship.
Yeah.
I think it's a professional respect that the two of them have. Having worked together on the bike, he knows she's... when he says very good, after she hits the barrels on the bike, you can see he's quite impressed with her and some of the things that she can do. He says, you were good on that bike. So I think it's a different dynamic this time, and I think it's quite interesting. The fight scenes are... I mean, she's clearly an action star. I mean, the fight scenes are really convincing, really good, really well acted. So, I just think she's absolutely fantastic. I am a little less convinced about Terry Hatcher, if I'm being honest.
I'm not going to argue with that, mate.
The scene in Bond's hotel room, you've got Brosnan sat there in the classic tuxedo with the vodka, the gun ready, very much the kind of edgy Bond that you waiting to kill somebody who's going to turn up to his room.
Yeah.
You see that a lot in some of the early films, of course, Dr. No, when he's waiting for Professor Dent.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And also in the books, there's a lot of that sort of thing as well. I sort of think that scene should be better than it is. Brosnan looks amazing. He's got the gear. It looks great. She comes in and it does... I don't know. It should be better than it is. It's okay. It's okay, but it's not great.
They've got the whole style of it to look right, and then it just doesn't quite land. Yeah.
And there's some good... It's not the writing, because the line where she says, I used to wake up every day and look for your obituary in the paper.
Yeah.
That's kind of... She's angry with him, but she's obviously still in love with him. There's a whole load of different emotions going into that line.
Yeah.
And it should land better than it does.
I agree.
And I don't know quite why it doesn't.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we don't know, right? Whether they got on or not, maybe that affected them if they didn't particularly get on.
Yeah.
She has said, Terry Hatcher, that she didn't find it a particularly satisfying role to play.
I guess that's fair.
Which I
as well.
guess, again, she is the sort of fall girl, isn't she? For want of a better phrase. So I can understand why she might feel that way. So,
And
not completely convinced.
I'm not. She's one of like the kind of the secondary. Obviously, she is the secondary.
She's
Bond
the one
girl
who
in
dies,
this,
right?
but
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Short of screen time, really, but the bit she is in,
okay. Okay, but not great.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, so Michelle Yeoh, very good. Terry Hatcher, maybe not so good.
Yeah.
I wound up at a 7, which I don't know, feels a bit light on Michelle Yeoh, but...
No, I know what you mean. It is... It has got to go down a bit for Hatcher.
Yeah.
But I'm going to 8.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because I really, really like Michelle Yeoh.
She is fantastic. And
Yeah.
it never been more popular and hotter and bigger property than she is right now at the age of 60. I think it's fantastic. And also doing really interesting stuff. She was in A Haunting in Venice. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot.
Okay.
And very good in that. And pops up in all kinds of things, being fantastic. So big fan. Right, that is all our scores done.
We're done.
Put together. We're done.
Let's
you know
do
what
some
that
maths.
time? Anyone? It's time for anyone? Anyone? It's time for
Bueller.
Matt Bueller. Anyone? Welcome back. We have a final score. And with a nation pregnant with expectation, indeed a world that cannot wait for this revelation, we shall move quickly to the answers. So, I've inputted your data. Woo! And I have scored Tomorrow Never Dies.
84.
And Tom has scored Tomorrow Never Dies.
85.
Giving us a grand total of...
169.
Which puts Tomorrow Never Dies into 12th place. It's 2 points ahead of Octopussy and a point behind On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is in 11th. So, according to the BondBoard, Tomorrow Never Dies is 12th of the 18 movies we've seen so far.
Well,
That's about right, I would think.
yeah, I reckon.
Do you reckon? Sometimes we do these scores and you think, wow, that's unusually
I
high
know,
or
yeah,
unusually
yeah.
low. I would say that's about
This
where I would
one-
put it.
Yeah.
I'd say so. And it is, we've always said, the BondBoard does what's the Bondiest Bond film. And this is a very Bondy Bond film. He's travelling all over the world. He's blowing lots of things up. He's using lots of gadgets. He's doing lots of crazy stuff. So it is quite a Bondy Bond film. So that would make a certain amount of sense, wouldn't it? So there we are. 12th out of 18 is where Tomorrow Never Dies goes with a score of 169. Will the board be on the screen as I'm speaking?
Of course it bloody will be,
Of course
mate.
it will be. Because
What did you take me for?
It's being properly edited by an editing professional. Nothing is left to chance on this show.
Yeah.
Well, there we are. Thank you very much for that.
That's pretty much it. I've
Hope
just
you
remembered.
enjoyed that.
I don't think we said we're at Review Kill Show.
Oh no! Normally I should say that at the start.
We
Shouldn't
do
I?
that feedback.
I am a trained media professional, you know.
So let's do that.
Yes, let's do that. We should do it.
So we're
Feedback
on
corner.
Shitter on
We
at
are
Review
on.
Kill Show.
We are on Xer Doge Binning
Shitter.
Xer Shitter at Review Kill Show on
We're
Twitter.
on Blue Sky.
We are on Blue Sky on at Review to a Kill because
Yeah.
we got there first. No one else can have it now.
We've now got Instagram.
Tom has got us on Instagram.
So
He's the
look
social
up-
media guru.
So we'll do clips. We'll do a bit of behind the scenes stuff from time to time.
And what's the
James,
Insta handle?
That's just look for Luxury Tedium.
Luxury
on,
Tedium.
on Instagram. You'll find us there.
Which is Tom's
You'll
production
see James
company.
in a train museum, wherever you went. Only it's not very long, but
Actually,
it's,
Tom, that was the National Railway Museum in York, where I was
There we go.
investigating a 1976
yeah, it's really exciting.
Japanese bullet train, which I
Yeah,
was
it's
very
really
excited
exciting.
to see, the Shinkansen. This was the Type 0, the one that came... Oh, last week in Spain,
yeah.
I got to go
I'm
on
not
a
going to fade out
Freccia
at
Rossa
all right now,
1000,
mate.
which, as you probably know, is the replacement for the
Thanks,
Freccia
everyone.
Rossa
Thanks for
500.
watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. And that's the one that they run down the middle of Italy, but they've now got a few running in Spain, which is the replacement for the Freccia Rossa 500.